when I see Ana Paula, yes, the person who writes, when I imagine the writer, I see Paula. But yes, you can correct it. I think it's not the name, but it is the content. We can be regardless of the content or whatever, it doesn't matter. What identifies is what is the work done. Yes, I don't like a lot to spend a lot of time with introduction. Each of us today, we can go to the internet, you can verify the name, and we can say yes, Paula Tavares is the history teacher, writer, and then many people knows her who used to be a student know Paula as a teacher, and others like me who had no such privilege to become Paula a student, we know her as a writer. She is a writer that also writes short histories, and yes, she normally writes a lot, and yes, and also she will write poetry. She has several prizes like Mario Antonio. In Angola, she won like a national prize of culture, and in 2006 is another thing. Yes, but yes, she has worked in that was published in the country and outside. The more recent book, which is published in Berlin in Germany, it is bilingual, which knows salvage water. Salvage water. It came from Delta. Yes, we will specifically go to this entry of a dictionary, which is a book that we're going to discuss. It's a book that is today being discussed, and I don't know, Goethe-Institut side, but indeed we are giving 5 copies for those who are around here. We call like a verbet for effective dictionary. Yes, it's good to discuss because it starts with the dialogue with the Brazilian writer Paulinho Assunção and Paulo Travales and Jorge Marmelo. Yes, you were, the last years, you were actually trying to write this entry to the dictionary. Who suggests what? Because it is very, I will give you the floor indeed, but those entries as like migration, courtship, sacrifice, land, even the word wanga, which is a sort of witchcraft, would decide the entry for this affective dictionary. Yes, the idea of changing this discussion as from the theme that was defined by a word, it belonged to Paulinho de Assunção. It didn't just came from the idea of to organize well words and that the word will follow each other, but the idea was each and everyone will build a word and its own text. Paulinho write a lot, like emails on that actually make us uncomfortable because he writes so well in Portuguese language, and later on, so it is so disturbing because he will tell us that he met to got in the coffee in the city where he's living, and that he could change ideas. They wrote a poem. So when you receive an email like this, and it starts a history, and whoever received this email, it actually gives that feeling of continuity of the same story, because then it took us to think why we do not organize a little bit these aspects, so that each and everyone will suggest a word, and all of us will write the text regarding this word. It was a need to organize better the good things that used to come from Paulinho emails, the Paulinho de Assunção. So we agree that each and everyone will propose a word, and when everything is written regarding this word, then we can stop. So the text doesn't obey any form. It can be a poem, it can be a story, or just a prose, just a very short work of piece of work. So it can be done for whoever. And yes, the idea actually started mainly from the very first suggestion from Paulinho de Assunção, and from the reading of the blog. Nowadays, no one is sending blogs, but mainly blogs of quality, blogs that kept the literary blog, isn't it? Yes, discussing literature where big names, because they are the big name of literature, all the writers that Paulinho preferred used to pass there to the blog. Something that was well constructed and sourceful, which fascinates us. And every day we thought that we should look for the blog of Paulinho de Assunção. The blog is no longer used, but yes, the idea of writing about a word that will be published in the blog was put aside, so that we could be thinking on the idea that each text function as a challenge or the answer of a text that belongs to somebody else. So we connect the text in spite of being very different, Yes, they are. As an author, I will come actually at the end. I will explain it. All the entries were already concluded, and there was a suggestion of one or two, and I was the last one. I actually met this group of working group, which already established and well made, and with strong orientation. Yes, there is a text from authors, and each wrote a small piece of work, and Paula Tavares says as follows, and there will be more friendly things to discover when we open the curtains in Belo Horizonte, Porto, Lisbon, and Rio de Janeiro, already prefabricated words, and we are going to extract the light that lies on there and we will bring it to the disorder of our days and nights. So the poetry go more to a disorder than to the order. Poetry go more to the days and the nights. Poetry goes more to a disorder, maybe a human disorder. Which disorder you are talking about? So before I answer the provocation from Ondjaki, he has a fundamental role that he said that he will come at the end and so forth. He actually came at the end. He came, but he's so useful, and his capacity of organization make it that we are older than him. We were like giving up from the project. We could go back to the project. He doesn't come to the end and he hang himself there. He come to the project, and the project give the project actually yet to rewrite the theme that was not yet written. So it was a very good work that he did for this book, for the existence of this book, the physical existence of the book, because we could actually, this issue of a disorder that you say, yes, the disorder, I like a disorder, a no order, because in the sense of the chaos is like the abyss, like it has influence, the power, it attracts us, that is impossible not to touch, to that, to coincide the disorder which is necessary to the poetry, to the day and the night. Yes, it is quite difficult to define clearly, because I'm not a woman of night, but you are a woman of the end of the night, when the day started. Yes, the first hour. Yes, at night actually I sleep. I thought that while I get older, I will sleep less and will have time to do things that I'm supposed to do. That is not true. I sleep more and more, and I used to say that I can sleep a lot. It's like a bulletproof sleep. It's a bulletproof sleep. Yes, I don't like war, indeed, but I sleep so well that I need the night to sleep. I do not sleep during the day, but then I get up early at the end of the night. Now, when the night goes to the end and the day started, there is a disorder of light, of cold, and our mind, our head, which is lie on several worlds. Yes, there is the expectation of what we will do during the day. So that moment for me, to me, is very, very important. I'm not saying that I'm very organized to write the poem at that time. No, that's not true. That is there where things started, which can be recovered as a text on, or as the beginning of a poem. Yes, for example, that hour, the first one, when I get up, then I will face again the day. So yes, in spite of what is there, the shade, I'm not saying that I'm elate, a woman who's very happy only, but also I have moments of sadness, a big discussion, and so forth. Not like in the music of Chico, these things of every woman does, because Chico he was mentioned whatever every woman does, to cook, to wash, whatever. Yes, I do also. I iron, I cook, and so forth. But those things of to revisit my pacts with words, my pact with the words. So there are moments that are very needed, and those moments start with the beginning of the day, and it goes organized, it get organized or get disorganized during the day. But I and the night, we don't have a discussion yet. Yes, but Paula, poetry is there. Poetry can be evocate, it will come. You can find it on the fingers, but you feel that poetry follows you. That people discuss more of the access. And some say that the constance, I don't know. But let me ask you, the poetry follows you on your day by day life. Yes, it follows me. I take poetry every time, which doesn't change. Okay, it could be down the other way of Sergio Godinho. Oh yes, I can. Maybe I will sell, but yes, I feel yes, poetry is following me. I feel that there is a lot of work, a lot of problems, a life of difficult life. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not difficult because but yes, it's a difficult life, and that is sometimes made difficult because the fact that I left Angola and until now I could not live with that problem of abandon Angola and so forth. That is a confession that I will make for the first time. But to leave Angola and not organizing my life to go back, it's a problem actually that that is a disorder. And it takes time from me to the poet. I can ask you, is it not good for the poetry, for your poetry? And she said, no, it's not. Yes, for some poems, but not for the poetry as such. For some poems, yes. Yes, then all the work that a person is obliged to survive, in order to survive, it takes time, not to the poetry, but not only poetry, but the poetry and the reading. And I'm reading a lot, and I try to. I'm looking for a reading. I want always to read new things and a lot of things. I'm so I get assaulted when I discover things. I see young people who start writing Portuguese and also in other language that I also have access. I can read 2 or 3 languages that is related to the Latin and to Portuguese. And this discovering is permanent. I wanted to have more time to process it so that my poetry could follow other ways. No one writes alone. Yes, and therefore I feel that I feel that I supposed to work more so that I can be able to continue a project, a literary project, which happened to me, and it's happened to me, and it's supposed to happen more and more. Yes, Paula, just to put here a question, a practical one. A few days ago in Brazil, from Capulana editor, Paula chronicle that the text original for this compilation. Actually, those texts were published because we put together, I collect texts that were published online for a portal that is the King of Angola, and I used to be part for a while, and I selected some chronicles. They are not all of them, but I selected some for the booklet that Capulana published. It is called a river that is incarcerated in hand. In the, yes, there is the last thing. That one is from the German or from which? Yes, I can even announce here that soon we are going to have a new thing. One is a prose, and the other one is poetry from Paula Tavares. We're going to have in Angola and Portugal, and also in Brazil. I think it will be just on air. It will come this year, 2022. Paula, let's pose a question from a poetry. This is the edition from the first book that was published that belonged to Paula Tavares. I saw a book say ritual of a passage, but it is a ritus of passage that was published in 1990s. A ox on yes, on a candle. It's the ox that were born in Willa. They are strong. They are high, navigable, and they have milk. And then their land, it is, and it will have a space for the seed, the wheat, and the soil. So in several texts from you, I find actually this word, word and the loneliness. Many, you say seed, word, and the loneliness. So it's always there, the text. Is there any seed when we are young for everything? In Saramago, in Kafka, in Luandino, whoever, there is a seed. How it is that seed of your adolescence in Willa? It's a province south of Angola where she was born and she grew up there, and it has specific characteristics, ethnicities as well. What is the seed of Willa on your adolescence, on your, I know that it is a very wide question. Okay, I will try to answer. I will be concise. Yes, each and everyone has, it is those early days, Helud. Yes, I'm so lucky that I was not living with my parents since I was a baby. My parents used to live in the interior of Willa, where actually I was born. It is a village 26 kilometers from Lubango. And I was living inside the city, in the city. Whenever I go to see my parents and my brother, I used to go with my eyes open. I wanted to know everything that surrounded me. And at that time, in that village, small village, which the colonialists, because I was born during colonial time, and colonialists used to separate well the okay, the cattle caretakers and the, the farmers, white farmers, and those shepherds. And I used to look at them, those caretakers of the flock, and it was a digital impression, and to see all those people, how they structured their life on the cows, on the milk, on the butter, on that circuit, on that life. I had those interrogations, those questions that I could not resolve because there were so many other aspects. If I could ask a lot about other people, like as my elder brother Ridwan Carvalho used to say, they could actually tell me, you don't belong to the other group, you are part of different groups. So that issue was always it was a big problem to me. But the problem I was asked, who is me? I belong to this side or on the other side? Although I could not resolve this issue, all those circle, it seems that on the part of those people, those shepherds, there was a connection with the nature more balanced, more calm, comparing to the life that we had in this side, on this side. So, which was very organized. They had the cows where in the place where it belonged, the young people in the place where it belonged to them, girls on the, and actually even the air makers, according to the age, dress also according to the age, the discussion that they used to have in the afternoon on surrounding the firewood to keep alive the memory of that group. That therefore, what I understood and what I could not understand, it remained like a mark that I wanted to resolve. And the poetry was a beginning to open a world that was not my world, the world where I do not live. I was on the side of colonial, on the white side, and there was nothing to mingle ourselves, like to be together. Therefore, I consider that at the same time, this curiosity, the fact that I could not be with my brothers, my brother used to be there, for them it is normal, but this curiosity was very, very important to me to discover, to interrogate, to question ways, to see who are those shepherds, those cattle caretakers. I look to them, their physical, their physiognomy, the way they related themselves with the cows, with the cattle. They were actually trips that I wanted to understand. All of this really was issues that was so sensitive that I kept, that I wanted to work, and sometimes it improved my poems, and sometimes it make it even worse. Yes, I can see those aspects, that turning back, that going back. It means that we are trying to get things, and then when I look at Rui words, yes, because Rui Duarte Carvalho used to question on about the other one, not actually the other way around. we can go back to the book, which is as the title, Verbet, and then you can, I will mention the words, then we can stop in a word, which let me start from the end. We have word that says zigzag, verandas, wanga, land, testimony, sacrifice, streets, beds, courtship, migration, seas, lures or oceans, Kalahari, game, imagination, humidity, geographies, figures, doings, cinema, all right, cinema. Although the word reigns in plural is so good. Yes, when this cinema, you say from the sky, stars falling that stars that falling from the sky. And the pickup back used to go, and there was a background that with a strong light with shade, and that issue that put my heart so beat. The family people went to get the cars, and they put on the lights, and the film continued with a plan which we could not see. The eyes of the childhood prolonged, and there was a teller where the slowly on top of a horse they will launch. So we are discussing the cinema of those years, maybe on the 60s, end of 1950s and 60s. Which place, but also of the cinema before and even today. Yes, long time. This text came from long time, and this appreciation. Cinema is the cinema that used to, it was movable, and also there was the place of division. I was in a place where the film used to be projected in a wide in a flat piece, and sometimes people like the Yaneka shepherds, they used to be attracted with the noise. They will be on the other side of the teller, while other people, white people, they will be, they will bring their chairs, and they will see the film on the right teller. So that was the division, which I see perfectly. The other thing is that it was needed to go back to the city in order to go to the city because there was the cinema, was the film, movies for those that are under 17 and 18 and under 21. And yes, there at the villages, I remember mothers with children, and they will watch the movie. They will see the that is under 17, and those cowboys film, and everyone that was there was able to witness, to check those film. That's a memory. Cinema was always attraction that it was indeed again I might use a word which is João Domingos, a word that is so João Domingos. It was a fatal attraction, because the cinema is a language that I do not understand, because I never studied cinema, and but I was fascinated the fact that it is possible to tell a history movement at that wide screen that was projected a history on that. The other aspect of cinema, we could see the world that I was not able to know, and even I didn't know if one day in life I could understand several worlds, and suddenly it is closer to me. They were speaking languages that are unknown one to me. I saw, for instance, several possibilities, even connected to the thinking, the challenge, which actually that cinema used to pose. I used to have a notebook where I write the film, the move that I witness, and then I will write also comment, which shows there's perfection, how fascinate people. Which film, which movie you can tell us, for instance? So during colonial time, it used to be movies that is called Cowboys one, that will in the entire Angola. And I have just to say, for those who doesn't know, later on, say for instance, in the years the 60s, there were those those bakkies, pickup trucks that will move, that call movies for the indigenous. And those films, they were not even cowboys film. It's a film that was showing how Angola was developed, how everyone was happy, and they used to dance, to sing. And there was also the same, but it is to show that everything was fine. Yes, it is. Even the place where they were programmed, there were some of these type of movies showing this happiness and so forth. Then there was a news, if I don't mistaken, it started after 1961, and then what happened in 1961. So every move started with a news that shows the effort of Portugal that is a unity, solid unity that no one can divide it. In spite of that, apart of that, I also was lucky to see several movies which used to be in Portugal. Actually, we could not. Yes, sometimes we don't know. Today, yes, we can. How in Angola, because like some books as well. And then it was a theory that those are just illiterate people. No problem, they will not understand. And here to witness, to watch the good movies, cinemas. We could move on this direction to another one, because everything was needed, was good. To go to a cinema, it was very good. It was a happiness, and there was no way to select which one, you know, it was a privilege. Yes, we were discuss about, we were talk about Rui Duarte de Carvalho, and sometimes this book, it is a collection of poems from Rui Duarte de Carvalho, because he has something, for instance, he has small aspect. He said, here on the sphere, there is no good news. On the following, tell to the one who is waiting. To me, I have the war has to say that we say that the war has to stop or not yet with the Angolans. Yes, that is not actually the first time that people ask us, but I think that the fact of the physical war, the war is a mobilization of a youth, the 2, 3, 4 generation, they had no childhood, they had no youth, and they go to the front line and they will die or they will survive. The fact that it is an end, it ended, it was a gain, positive one. The fact that today we are celebrating 20 years where we do not mobilize young people to the war, for the war, because it is, they used to be young people. It was actually it was a burden to the family. The ladies remain with babies to take care of, and the fact that the war formally stopped, it was positive for our country. But your question is more subtle, is more, yes, it's from Rui. The war in our heads, and now I speak like Angolan, and then I can say it, the war in our heads didn't stop, it continues. The war is still there. There is a tension regarding the possibility of conflict related to, for instance, the issues. I said conflict. That things that make that things are not yet normalized. It is not normalized in the sense of the civil society to live the life that they have a right. Living conditions are not yet there. They still victim of this process, a long process, violent and hard, that it prolonged until nowadays. We should make this peace urgently in our heads, in our friendship, our social cycles, so that Angola may face it day by day in a different way. And one of the texts from this book, the Verbet for Effective Dictionary, you gave an interesting name. It has to do with the seas, and the names are Atlantic, but it is in plural, Atlanticus. And you discuss, you speak about, I actually memorized the form, the intimate smell. The color was changed during the day between blue and green and white, and it is the sea that showed me the color, and not the snake of rainbows. I would like actually you to discuss a little bit, because tell us a bit the sea that teaches you the color, but what is the serpent of the rainbow serpent? Okay, the first sea that I knew was the Namib Sea. Is a Atlantic, South Atlantic. That's why I speak on Atlanticos, because the Atlantic, South Atlantic and the North Atlantic has nothing to do each and one. So they are not the same. Actually, like they are one Atlantic, but there are several ones. In my first presentation is the Sea of Namib. And it was not actually it's not the hot Sea of Luanda. It's a sea, a cold one, a more cold, violent, but it makes us to think on the idea of the colors. And I want to tell you that I understood this when one day I visit the Indian Ocean. I had the fantasy regarding the Indian Ocean. So the Indian Ocean was very strong. There were poetry from Mozambican writers. They were the window to the Indian Ocean, to the Indian Ocean. And yes, the Indian Ocean was actually made the books from the writers, or Arabic ones. They used to describe the Indian Ocean, and there was so the fantasy, the window to the east. Actually, I went once in Durban and I saw the Indian, and I said, no, this is not my sea. It is not indeed. It was beautiful, but doesn't discuss with you. No, it doesn't say anything. Maybe I close to me. I say, no, I will not even try to introduce myself. I'm here to introduce myself to the sea, but I say, oh, the Indian Ocean was there. And I say, no, it is not to me. It's not for me. So the Atlantics that I speak is this one, the difference between the South and the North. For instance, in the Atlantic, we find it. For instance, this issue of the violence, which we could not look at that sea without think in 300 years of slavery of people. That is the importance of the sea, and whatever that the African continent took to Americans. So that trips of going, return trips, people took things from America to the American continent, to Africa, and African to the American continent. I cannot forget, if I say to an Angolan who is a little bit illiterate, because I remember when I said cassava is not does belong to us. It came at the time when we sent slaves to America. They could not believe how cassava, which is our daily bread, it was not ours. So all this across Atlantic, when I said Atlantics, in the first part, I discussed North and the South, because South is it's different compared to the North. So then we think about this burden that the Atlantic has, the history, our union with the world, and so forth. Regarding the serpent of the rainbow serpent, it is moral, the idea that we conserve that rainbow is a serpent, that is a serpent that changes its color many times during the day, and it will remain with that color, that division, chromatic division